In a shocking raid that shatters the already damaged, wholesome facade of the most magical place on Earth, U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents boarded 5 cruise ships in San Diego between April 23rd and 25th, which included Disney's Magic, netting 28 arrests for child sexual exploitation material. 3 of those nabbed were Disney cruise staffers, with passengers left stunned as crew members, including one family's server, were cuffed right in front of them during disembarkation. Authorities confirmed involvement in receiving, possessing, distributing, or viewing child pornography, primarily among foreign crew from the Philippines, Portugal, and Indonesia.
Crew member on board the Disney Dream was arrested for possession of child pornography after authorities received 9 separate tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. A 28-year-old Filipino crew member had his phone seized when the ship arrived at the port, and authorities found multiple photographs of children engaged in sexual acts, some of which were under 10 years of age. He apparently was sharing these photos with a group of other such individuals on a Facebook group.
Meanwhile, liberal mouthpieces like Kathy Griffin are outraged that the pedos were arrested and deported because, of course, they are. Disney issued the standard corporate boilerplate about zero tolerance and cooperation, but the pattern here is impossible to ignore.
Then there's Xavier Jackson. He's 27.
He is accused of sending sexual images to someone he thought was a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, did I mention that he just happens to be a lifeguard at the Polynesian Resort for Disney? Well, why do people like Paul Vell work at Disney? Because that's where the children are. He had 540 counts of child pornography, from newborns to 8 years of age.
Deputies stormed their Davenport home, the one with Mickey and Minnie out in the front yard and a security jacket hanging in the car. Inside, they say they found child porn on Thomas Wheeler's computer, with kids ranging in age from 9 to 11 engaged in various sex acts.
Detectives arrested 10 men and a 16-year-old boy as part of an undercover child pornography investigation. One of the men worked as a project manager at Walt Disney World. Another worked at Legoland.
With investigators telling us that this pastor and also a Disney hotel employee was downloading child porn images while on the job, but apparently he was also doing more. Disney put a system in place to take screen captures every 3 seconds, recording Cuthbert's every move, even as he wrote an Easter sermon while he watched the videos.
This is how investigators say the Disney worker solicited at least one boy through his Xbox.
Charles Proctor, he's a 56-year-old electrician at Disney World. Proctor is charged with 11 counts of possessing child porn.
A Disney boat driver sits now in the Orange County Jail charged with more than a dozen counts of possessing and trading child pornography. This man, Richard Morgan, has been taken into custody, accused of molesting a young girl. He is a stage tech at Disney World.
A Disney employee busted, say investigators, for chatting online and trying to meet what he thought was a dad and his 8-year-old daughter for sex. Federal prosecutors say Frederick Pohl of Claremont was surprised when he got to an Orlando hotel. There was no girl, only investigators waiting to arrest him.
And this man is waiting to go to trial. Polk County deputies arrested him last year for having child porn. Of course, Disney isn't the only theme park with cases like this. Employees from SeaWorld, Legoland, and Universal have also been arrested for similar crimes.
State police have just arrested a SeaWorld employee on charges of making and sharing child porn.
Some downtown Disney visitors are shocked tonight as word spreads that an employee there was arrested and charged with molesting a 9-year-old boy earlier this month.
How deep does this rot go in an organization that markets directly to kids? Passengers filming the chaos on the docks weren't just witnessing arrests. They were seeing the mask slip on a billion-dollar machine that profits from trust it lost years ago. John Bound reporting for the Alex Jones Network.
Yep. Here we are. Welcome to the show. What is it? I think it's May 9th. Saturday, May 9th, 2026. Thank you for being here. Second sound. I didn't do that already. I got to get that handled. You know, I'm learning to do two things. I mean, you see stuff like that. Does it just turn your stomach? Hold on. Way deep in there. Sound. And go. All right. Well, let me see. All right. Welcome to the show. Let me just. I do have kids that, run in and out of the studio when I'm not paying attention. So, very possible. Can you? All right, cool. We're good. All right, thank you for being here. All right, little adjustments here to make sure we're good. All right, guys. All right, that sounds good. All right, cool. Where are we tonight? We're gonna get into some Charlie Kirk stuff for sure. We're gonna get into some Charlie Kirk stuff. We're gonna get into some UAP stuff. I'm gonna remind you of some things that are going on with what we do know about Charlie Kirk's murder, and it was very fascinating what I seen last night when we were doing our show last night. Some of the things that I came across that are very shocking about this whole thing with the unidentified beings, non-human beings or whatever it is. It's very interesting for me. I mean, I don't know if it is for you, but it is for me. So we're going to get into it tonight a little bit. Thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. Appreciate your support. I really do. You can either go to my website, which is on the screen, check out our supplement, or our Jesus, what am I saying here? Check out our store. There's My Patriot Supply, stuff like that on there. Please support support us best you can. All right, so let's get into this. I want to start slightly different tonight. We're gonna start with something a little more. I mean, that one video that we just played about Disney is enough to make you throw up. And one of the things with that is, our kids, they want to go see Mickey Mouse. You know what I mean? They want to go to, to Disneyland. They want to go to these places where it's supposed to be, like the happiest place in the world for our kids. And then you got these pedophiles that are running around, and I don't know how. Like, if I'm at Disneyland or Disney World or Legoland or any of those places, my kid is within eyesight. So I don't know how they're doing this. I mean, I don't know how it works. I mean, obviously, they're getting a hold of kids somehow, and I don't know if it's like schools sending their kids on trip. I don't know how they're able to get a hold of kids. And I know that some of that video was about them downloading child porn, which is sick in itself. But how is this a thing? And it brings me right back to, are our kids not safe anymore? Like when I was a kid, like when the street lights went out, I was supposed to start heading home. I'm supposed to be home when the lights go out, summertime, 10 o'clock. I'm out riding my, my mountain bike or my bike, my whatever, my BMX bike or my skateboard, whatever I was doing when I was a kid, usually causing trouble. But like I knew that when the street lights went out, as soon as they come on, I better be home in the next 15 or 20 minutes. I don't get my ass kicked. That's just how it was. Nowadays, you can't let your kids out of your sight. It's crazy. It's wild because we used to run the streets, man. My mom, like I remember summers, we'd get up in the morning and she'd say, "Get out of the house," and we go jump. A bunch of us go jump on our bikes and our bicycles and take off. You know what I mean? And then we graduated to little mini bikes and go karts and stuff. And we'd scrounge up money. Funny, we'd scrounge up $1 so we could put gas in our mini bike so we could go ride the fields or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Everything is so much different in the last 50 years. That is for sure. I mean, it's crazy. I just got gas for $6 a gallon yesterday. So, I mean, it's crazy. Back then it was like 90 cents a gallon. Cigarettes were $1. I mean, you could go to the store back then, obviously a long time ago, you could get a pack of cigarettes and a soda and a candy bar for like $1.50 or something. It's crazy. Shit's changed. That's for sure. Anyway. All right, enough of that. Let's start right here. So last night we talked about this a little bit. I want to be careful because of the algorithms on YouTube, but we talked about the hantavirus a little bit, and a lot more has come out about it, and they're already wearing masks and stuff. They're talking about, I've seen a bunch of video on people saying, what mask to wear and all this shit. I mean, it's already started. I mean, it literally just landed 2 days ago, and it's already everywhere. And all the whack job liberals, they're going to be telling you to put your mask on before you go in the grocery store. And I'm going to tell them, what I'm going to tell them. So we're not going to worry about that. But I've already, let my family know that this is another hoax. This is where we're at. And, it's another attempt to, do what they did to us once before and blah, 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 blah. So they're pretty clear. We'll see what the liberal part of my family say tomorrow for Mother's Day. That'll be fun. It's always fun to do that. Anyway, let's get started. Start with predictions. What do you think? We should start where... We'll just start with the predictions tonight. Stand by.
Look, that's our ship! Purple!
An emergency message. Outbreak of the deadly virus is spreading rapidly.
A virus?
A worrying new challenge in efforts to contain the hantavirus.
All we want right now is to feel safe.
For now, nobody is being allowed off the boat.
All ships must remain at sea.
Have fun! My booze!
It's the same disease that killed Betsy Arakawa, the wife of late actor Gene Hackman.
According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the hantavirus. I'm saying it wasn't the hantavirus.
They're buying it.
They're buying it.
Your father and I were recruited for a project. They told us it was biological warfare, a virus. What killed those men? A silent weapon for a quiet war.
And it won't be the last pandemic. The next one could be far more severe. I mean, this one, it killed millions. It was awful. We got the vaccine. Actually, President Trump's leadership was a factor in getting that out quickly. And so when I spoke to him, I said, okay, here's some other medical innovations, including a thing called an HIV cure that could be accelerated. So, we should be more prepared, both for a pandemic. I'd say that's still number one. You can worry about nuclear war. You can worry about AI. There's plenty to worry about. But overall, I'm an optimist. No, I mean, it's up to the government to think ahead on behalf of the citizens.
Yes.
So, a pandemic, there's a lot that we should be doing that hopefully we'll get our act together before the next one comes. Overall, the innovation in health, both in the developing countries, the rich world, I love being part of that.
I was reading, though, that you said the next pandemic you are predicting within maybe 25 years. Is that
certainly
accurate?
we'll have one in the next 25 years. There's even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now. Reducing population growth, that's this big benefit. The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
In the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population,
Wait. What the?
more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that.
We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
What the?
So in the next 5 to 10 years, for the next pandemic, we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic, there will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when.
History teaches us that the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if.
We know what's next. We're going to have another major coronavirus pandemic before the end of this decade, before 2030.
If we really want to prevent the next pandemic, and there will be one, there will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic. It may be.
Yeah, so here we are. Don't comply. And we all need to be saying no to this. I mean, just period. We should say no. They're already pushing it. It's all over the internet. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of people, about half of the population, that's going to fall right in line and do exactly what happened. I mean, more and more people since 2020 have completely went against the whole narrative and really found out, they realized that the whole thing was a big lie. They know that. And what 2020 did is woke up a lot of people, from the previous pandemic, plandemic, I should say. It woke up people. Everything that they did was a test. And whether or not you realize that or not, they wanted to see if they would be able to get away with doing it again. And I believe that these Bill Gates types, they believe that they really did win the war on vaccines, because I think they didn't. I don't think I think less people got the vaccines than they anticipated would. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened. I want to be careful because of the algorithm. I want to do my best here to do my best about the YouTube thing. But what's happened in the last 5 years. Like, cancer's on the rise, 40% increase in cancer and all that stuff. I mean, it's horrible. I've known several people I know people right now that, were completely healthy, went to the gym every day, did everything right, ate right, did all that stuff, but they got those things and, they got fear mongered and they got those, the jabs, and they ended up with cancer. And I've known several people that went through the whole process of chemo and all that stuff to get rid of it. Everything from breast cancer to what do you call it? Cervical cancer, all kinds of different things. I mean, it's just crazy. And if you do the research into what that was, it breeds cancer. So I'm not going to get too far into it tonight. We'll probably do. It sounds like we're going to need to do a private type show and not run it on like YouTube and these other platforms that that definitely don't let you get away with talking about the truth on any kind of deep level. Maybe we'll see if we could get Judy in here and have Judy and have a conversation with us about the whole thing that happened then and what's happening now. Judy Mikovits is top notch, really great scientist, doctor. And she's very, very aware of what's going on. So maybe we'll give her a call and see if we can get her in here in the next couple weeks or whatever. But anyway, I wanted to cover it though because I want people to realize what's really going on. And I'm sure if you're on social media at all, you're seeing it. I mean, you're probably seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Lots of people talking about, oh my God, we need to start wearing masks again, blah, 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 and then you have the other people saying, this is a hoax. This is ridiculous. I can't believe they're, doing this again, and all that. So I'm sure it's out there because that's all I've seen over and over and over, all that stuff. And, you need to do stuff like, ivermectin, zeolites and spike detox and all that stuff. Now you should be doing that. So that way, if this is a, another sickness, which they're saying that this is 50% get really ill and all that stuff. I mean, they're saying that this what's the correct name for it? Hantavirus, hantavirus is if it's the strand that they're saying, because remember what they said was it was not born, you couldn't get it from human to human. That, and then they came out a couple days later and they said that there's a new strand. Of course, there's a new strand that is human to human transmitted. Of course there is, right? So anyway, we're gonna keep our eye on this. We're gonna talk to the we're going to talk to the scientists about it and talk to the right doctors and see what we can find out about it. We'll keep you posted on that. We're not going to spend a bunch of time on it here on YouTube. But hey, if you're on any of the platforms, please go to YouTube, go to Rumble, go to Getter, go to X, subscribe to the channel, please. It's weird because I've noticed that for instance, X, my numbers have not changed in forever. And I think it's because they have me shadow banned and people don't really see my stuff like they used to because there's no real reason why I'm not gaining followers and stuff. There's no reason for it. Like the numbers are showing, but we're not seeing people subscribe to the channels, which is weird. So if you can, please subscribe to the channels, all of them. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, wherever you watch it. Subscribe to the channel, please. All right, where we at? What are we doing? All right, let's see. Oh yeah, we're gonna start right here. We're gonna talk about Nick Fuentes for a minute. He's got this idea of being a Democrat, and I don't know. I'm just gonna let you tell me. Or I'm going to let you hear what he has to say, and you make your own decision on what you're going to do. I can't see myself voting for a Democrat ever in my lifetime. I remember the joke. When I die, make sure I don't vote Democrat because they still dead people's votes. But stand by.
This is something that I don't even see a lot of people talking about, but it's a really big deal. And it's part of why I switched parties. Part of why I'm so proud now to be a Democrat in 2026. And our featured story is all about a group of House Democrats led by Joaquin Castro, another Hispanic Latino Democrat, They wrote a letter to the Trump government, and they are now demanding that the U.S. government expose and acknowledge that Israel maintains an arsenal of nuclear weapons. Wholly based? How could anybody vote Republican? How could anybody be a Republican in 2026? What do they even do? What do they even do other than exonerate Jewish pedophiles, steal money, give amnesty to illegal aliens? What does the GOP even do? This is why I'm a proud Afro-Latino Democrat. Yes, a group of 20 House Democrats sent a letter to the White House, and they say they will publish the president's response. And they say that it is a national security risk to maintain the ongoing policy of ambiguity regarding Israel's nuclear arsenal. Because, as you may or may not know, Israel does maintain a nuclear arsenal, 200 to 300 nuclear warheads deliverable by missiles, potentially also submarines. I don't believe they have a full triad. They don't have a strategic air force, but they do have Jericho missiles and submarines to deliver warheads. And they've had this capability since the mid-1960s. It has been the official policy of the U.S. government since the Nixon administration. We're basically in league with Israel. We have agreed with them to not disclose the existence of their arsenal. And so to this day, even though it is established fact that they have nuclear bombs, we will not acknowledge it as a matter of policy. And this is effectively just a courtesy to Israel. And this gives them more options, more maneuverability from a strategic point of view against their enemies over the years, like the Egyptians, the Syrians, and then eventually the Iraqis and the Iranians. The Democrats now say that in this current conflict with Iran, to not acknowledge or disclose Israel's nuclear status actually increases the risk of a strategic miscalculation. It's impossible for us or for any nation to know what Israel's red lines are in a conflict because we're unsure of their capabilities. We won't acknowledge them. And so, for example, what happens if Israel's air defenses are overwhelmed, missiles are raining down on Israel, maybe even Iranian missiles are attacking Israel's nuclear facilities? Question, at what point does Israel deploy a nuclear weapon in that scenario? How overwhelmed? What constitutes an existential threat? Which of their capabilities would need to be imperiled or compromised? When does Israel use that red button? When do they use the nuclear option? It's almost impossible for anybody to even speculate as long as there is not transparency. And this is jeopardizing diplomacy. It increases the risk of miscalculation. And it makes the entire situation far more dangerous for the United States and American soldiers in the region. This is the argument from the Democrats. So they are demanding that the Trump administration change the policy and disclose to the whole world and acknowledge that Israel is a nuclear power, that they are not a signatory on the NPT, and they've got weapons. It's a pretty big deal. And it's not a lot of Democrats, but like I said, it's about 20 Democrats in the House that sent the letter. And this is part of overall a change in the Democratic Party posture. It's been going on since the Biden administration.
Yeah, so that's very interesting concept. The context is good, but I still can't see myself voting Democrat. It's just not something that I think I can get behind. Now, I may very well vote other ways besides voting for Republicans at this point, but I don't think I will be voting Democrat. I just don't see how I could do it. I mean, I don't. They'd have to really, really, really change their policies more than wanting to check Israel and their nuclear capabilities. That's for sure. So anyway, I just wanted to roll that and see what you thought about that. I think that's very interesting. Now, what were we talking about? What we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about this UAP thing. I'm going to play this clip from John Bound real quick. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about this UAP stuff because this is very interesting as well. And this is this can be thought of a different couple different directions when you think about it, because this could be all just a false flag. This could be fear mongering. It could be that they're doing this because they have a plan to utilize this UAP thing as a false flag to get everybody all wound up, and then use Martians to come after us. I mean, you don't know what. At this point, we have no idea what the deep state's going to do or how they're going to act. They're losing so bad. Anything's possible. So, I mean, it's just the truth. So, let's get a look
at President Trump's presidential unsealing and reporting system for UAP encounters, or PURSUE, has dropped. The initial release clocks in at over 160 documents, heavily featuring FBI records with cryptic file designations alongside hints of defense, state, and NASA materials. Many are unresolved cases where the feds admit they can't explain the phenomena due to insufficient data, openly inviting private sector sleuths to dig right in.
And I think some of it's going to be very interesting to people. I've interviewed people, my first term primarily, but I interviewed some pilots, very solid people, and they said they saw things that you wouldn't believe. So
everything from historical files spanning nearly 80 years, including potential Apollo mission ties and raw eyewitness accounts that past administrations buried or dismissed.
And we have very many, it looks like hundreds of little particles going by the left out about 3 to 4 miles.
Understand you have many small particles going by on the left. At what distance?
They're past now. They're going to pull her open.
Roger, and understand they were about 3 to 4 miles away.
But one can't help but wonder, why now? And why flood the zone with FBI heavy docs that leave more questions than answers? Pilots, military observers, and civilians have reported objects defying physics with instant acceleration, no visible propulsion, transmedium travel. This release feels like the veil may be cracking, but is it full disclosure or a carefully managed drip to test public reaction?
So you think they're demons? Well, look, I think that celestial beings who fly around, who do weird things to people, I think that the desire to describe everything celestial, everything as otherworldly, to describe it as aliens, I mean, every great world religion, including Christianity, the one that I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. And I naturally go, when I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed.
You have a lot of the far right religious people who don't understand the cosmology and the physics of interstellar travel saying it. And it's a bunch of superstitious claptrap.
According to the men who were present, who have the information, they said to these pastors, you're going to have 2 responses more than likely when all this information is eventually released. Now, I don't know what the total information is. I know a little bit about what it's about, but apparently whatever this is very serious. And number one, you're going to have people who are going to say, if there are galaxies and there are allegedly other creations in the galaxies, then the whole creation story is a myth. And you're going to have people that's going to apostatize and turn from the Christian faith because they have no answer for what they're about to hear. Then they said the opposite will be. There will be a group of people who are not followers of Christ, are not followers of the Bible, and they're going to freak out. And they're going to come to pastors, ministers, and teachers and say, what is this? Is this really real?
This rollout echoes elements of Project Bluebeam. especially with its religious implications. Could it all just be a royal scam? Staged celestial events, fake alien invasions, or religious apparitions via advanced tech to usher in a one world order? While this UAP dump appears geared toward genuine openness under Trump, the timing and emphasis on unresolved anomalies could serve as psychological preparation, normalizing skybound mysteries in an era of rapid drone and projection breakthroughs. If Bluebeam's playbook involves manufacturing consent through spectacle, these files might be the soft launch, arming citizens with data while elites retain the real deal tech. John Bound reporting for the Alex Jones Network.
Yeah, that is a great report. And if you're on the show and get in the chat and leave a comment. I mean, it'd be great because what we're doing is we're working on the algorithm. We're working on getting to where people can find us easier. And how you do that is by leaving a comment, obviously subscribing to the channel and all that stuff. We appreciate your help. We worked for years to get our YouTube channel up and running, and we had it going really well. And then, the whole censorship happened in 22 or 23, and they took our channel from us, and we were doing really well over there. And then now we've been fighting to get our subscribers back. Some of them came to Rumble, some of them came to X, when we got our X account back. But, I should say, I am working on getting, back in the rankings for modernization and all that stuff. So anyway, your help's greatly appreciated. So back to now, I've been doing this deep dive. It's not a deep dive. I mean, it's Mother's Day weekend. I've been super busy, so I haven't really done much today. But I have been looking into this for like the last couple weeks, and one of the things that I've realized really is that there's a lot of we're gonna, like for instance, this big document drop or this video drop or this whatever UAP drop was supposed to be so spectacular that everybody was gonna rethink their Christianity. You heard it. You heard what they were saying in that report. First of all, I don't know how that could happen if you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus, or maybe you're something, maybe you have a different faith. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the other faiths that well, but whatever your faith is, you think that would be strong enough to where when they start talking about green Martians or 4-foot monsters, or these they say that these monsters with long fingers and big heads and all this stuff that they're talking about over the last few weeks, wouldn't be sending you off the ledge for not to believe your faith. You think that it would bring you closer to believing, closer to God and your whatever God. For me, it's Jesus. For you, it might be something else. I'm not. That's not the debate that I want to have tonight on what's what. It doesn't even really matter to me. You can believe whatever you believe, as long as you believe something, right? I mean, because in times you need to believe something. Hopefully you believe the right thing. So anyway, I mean, being a good person in general is really going to get you the farthest. I mean, that's what I think. I think, being a scumbag, and not a good, decent person will probably keep you as far away from heaven as possible. That's just my thought. I don't know. Maybe being a scumbag works. I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, but it's possible. Okay. I guess it's possible for, depending on what you believe. So anyway, I think that would bring me closer. It has brought me closer to God instead of further away from God, because I think that at least if it's not like green Martians, and then what's the origin of these green Martians? Where they come from? Are they demons? Are they just green people? Are they, what they say, what are they calling them? Extraterrestrial? What is it? I don't know. Is it real? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. But I do have a little bit of information we're going to go over tonight. And we're going to just kind of dig in a little bit. This one clip, played it last night, and it's a really good interview with this pastor, because see what they've done. The government went to all these big churches, or these pastors that, obviously probably pastors that have a big following, maybe mega churches. I don't know for sure, but they've went to these pastors and got in their ear about exactly what is going on with this drop, with this UAP, drop. And basically saying that you need to make sure that your congregation doesn't flip on you, because this is going to be so hard for them to take. They're going to question their Christianity. That's literally what they said. And so, we'll play this clip. It's a long clip. It's almost 11 minutes, but we're just going to play it. I think it's great. It's a lot of good information, and you take and do what you will with it. You can believe it if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to. But I think that this is, I mean, if there is a possibility that we are communicating with extraterrestrial beings or Martians or whatever we want to label it, whatever we want to call it, we called them aliens when we were kids. Well, for the sake of, I mean, you can't call them aliens now because you need a green card, right? So I don't know. We call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But let's play this clip. It's a group of pastors being summoned to the federal government meeting to talk about this UAP. What do they call it? U.S. government told them to prepare for possible UFO disclosure. Oh, I got it right here. So let's just play the clip.
There's so much information here, and again, it sounds like to me, a lot of these pastors who were brought into this call or this meeting, it wasn't done in an official government capacity. It's people who are within the government who are also believers themselves who said, we need to get the word out in advance of this so that pastors can be ready. Am I reading that wrong, or is that how you're reading it as well?
I think it was a unified effort, but the people that came to meet with us were more former military operatives, people that have done research, and they've done a lot of activity in some of the UFO disclosure community up into the highest echelons of it, and they came with proof to show us that they were a part of that. Some of the things that they really showed us, Ben, were shocking, things that I didn't know how to wrap my head around. They had images of entities and things like this. They actually did show it to us on their devices. We were not allowed to have our devices functioning in these meetings. It was actually a rather lengthy meeting in Tennessee, and I was there with the person you just showed a little bit ago, Bishop Alan DiDio. And we were in that meeting together, and I'll tell you, they did go into a lot of material, but here's the big thing. The big takeaway is what they were concerned about was the coming deception with it. And why do I say deception? The deception is that they want to supplant or replace our image of God with a form of enlightenment. This is where the narrative is trying to go. So there's going to be a lot of things that begin to show up. This is what they told us. I even asked them about the lizard people. I said, is this really true? Lizard people? And they looked at me and said, our reports tell us yes. Now, I don't know what to do with that, but I was in this meeting and they said a lot of things that were pretty substantial. But the coming deception, Ben, what they're talking about is they want to replace the deity of Jesus for enlightenment for humanity. In other words, they want to say Jesus is just one of these star people that's coming down. This is the narrative that they're going to use through disclosure, through we're not alone in the universe, through these are multidimensional beings that make an appearance, and then will come information. And the narrative that we heard through this whole thing was this. The government has heard a lie. The government believes the lie, but the government is going to tell the people what they believe to be true. And so when we see a lot of congressional people talking about what they've heard and seen, like Burchett, who I really have great respect for, I believe they've truly seen things. I have great respect for Anna Paula. And I believe that there is some very serious things that are going on, and they've seen it. And yet the things these agents were telling us, when I say agents, they were just operatives that were former military, they had access to a lot of things. They revealed these things. And I'll tell you, by the time we were done, we looked at this and thought, this fits the biblical narrative. This fits last days deception. This fits what the Bible calls the days of Noah. That just as the days of Noah were, so will it be right before the coming of the Son of Man. And I believe this is where we are. So the question is this, what does this mean to us? And what should we do about it? As Christians, we need to drive deeper into the Lordship of Jesus Christ. We need to read our Bible till it's talking back to us. So when these things begin to appear, or when there's a disclosure that happens, and it's absolutely overwhelming to our five senses that there's non-human intelligences walking around or whatever they present, we have a good answer for it. It doesn't shake our faith. And I'm reminded of this. In Luke chapter 21, verse 11, it says this, Ben. It says that in those days, there will be fearful sights. Luke chapter 21, verse 11, it says fearful sights will come down out of the heavens. Fearful sights. The Greek word for fearful sights is phobotron, and there's only one interpretation of the word phobotron. It means monsters. It could be translated that in the last days, there will be monsters. And we see fearful sights coming out of the heaven. I believe the Lord has forewarned us so we can be forearmed in our faith, not be led astray by any strange or unusual doctrine, but simply recognize that it's a last days deception. Even if it's tangible and empirical, we got to remain with Jesus as Lord. And that's the important thing.
All right, let me shoot off some rapid fire questions for you about this meeting, okay? And I know there may be some things you can't say. I hope there aren't. I hope you just tell us everything. You said
try, Ben.
There are some devices that they showed you images on, correct?
Yeah.
And did they show you multiple looking or different kinds of beings, or did they all look the same? Was there more than one? Were there several?
It was on a cell phone. Images on a cell phone, showed it to me. And when they showed it to me, there were multiple images, and they scrolled through them. And it was images of creatures in the woods. Now, it's somebody showing you pictures. You don't know what you're looking at other than, my goodness, if that's not AI, that is very convincing. And what I saw was tentacle-like creatures, really tall creatures. Some of them are translucent. You could not see facial features, more like figures that were very tall, very lanky. And there was a number of them. And they had long appendages. And I saw a number of those in these images. And these individuals had said they'd had firsthand contact with some of these issues. I asked them, does this apply to the Miami Mall incident that we experienced, well over a year ago? And they began to say, well, there is information that ties into this. They didn't go into it, but it does seem that there are correlated normalities, or I should say connected issues in that same narrative.
In terms of these creatures, did they indicate whether or not those creatures, any of them, are in captivity? And how are they getting this information about what the narrative these things would share with me? Have they communicated with them?
Well, they have not. One person did communicate with something, and he really asked that we not tell who he was or what had happened, but he had a direct communication of one of these things where it jumped on him physically. He was in somebody's home. It appeared like a light being came down and all this. And of course, this is his account of it. Sure. And he just began to tell us. And of course, we're staring at this going, okay, like how do you process that? So I said, I just want to quote my friend L.A. Marzulli, let's rebuke first and ask questions later in the name of Jesus. But they began to say these things are being summoned on one level by people that believe they are higher intelligences, light beings, that they're calling down out of the cosmos or out of the other dimensions. Other people believe that they're just purely demonic, which I do believe these are demonic things that we're facing. But what they also said that was staggering, and I thought this was interesting, this will help the audience. They said 90% of what we're seeing in the skies right now is high-level technology. We're seeing high-level government technology, and they began to say, we've researched it, we have data on this, and they began to break it down for us, high-level government technology. But there's a 10% that there's a lot of real that's happening that's unexplainable. And a little bit of a caveat that's very interesting, and I don't know what to do with this, but when we're leaving this meeting, The day after this, I was flying on a plane with a number of my team. We looked out the window and orbs appeared. We took video of the orbs and they were flying somewhat near the plane. They were with us for 30 minutes. And I'll tell you, that's never happened to me before. And I started thinking, if this is happening to me, if this is somebody who's somewhat read up on this, just a little bit, not super up on it, but if it happened to me, it made me concerned. I thought about, what about the average churchgoer, the average individual in America that suddenly they're presented with this type of experience? It could be pretty shaking.
In terms of the reptilian part, any of the images that you saw, did they look reptilian? I know you kind of described the figures. You did not see that?
I did not see reptilian.
Interesting.
I didn't see anything reptilian. They were translucent. There was very elongated arms, tall. Some of them were standing in the woods, and it was in evening.
Did they say if these things communicate with speech? Do they speak English? Do they speak in verbal ways that we can understand?
They got into that a little bit. They began to say they were beings of light, that some of these higher level UFO individuals, they will call them down or communicate with them through meditation and call them right into their space. And they alleged that some of them meet with these light beings regularly. And when they meet with these light beings, they get data, they get information from them. And that is the source of why they believe they need to tell humanity these are not malevolent, evil things. These are good things. And I believe that is where the deception is, because we know 1 Corinthians talks about the devil can transform himself into an angel of light. And we've got to be those that are discerning what is an angel of God. Are you on God's team or are you on the devil's team? What kingdom are you of? And just because these things are appearing doesn't mean they're good. Even if they appear with benevolence, it doesn't mean they're good. We need to know, are they of Jesus camp or some other camp? And that is why we got to evoke the name of Jesus, use the name of Jesus when we run into this stuff. And I believe that will begin to tell us if they're good or nefarious. And you know what? If people say, I'm meeting with an alien, it's like, well, let's meet with them together. And let's use the name of Jesus and see if it holds up.
Interesting.
Because I believe this is the coming deception.
Yeah, let me ask you this too, though. You said they are meeting with them and they believe. Who is the they who's regularly or often meeting?
I can't name them because I promised I wouldn't name the individuals, but they are direct individuals who speak to the president. They speak to the government. If I were to name drop some of them, it would pull the mask off these people.
But we would recognize those names probably.
You would, yes.
And these are people who regularly meet with these beings that reveal themselves to them.
That's correct.
And those people who are in high positions of government and power now believe that these things are who they say that they are the creators.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Ben, it's not governmental leaders that are doing this. These are people in the UFO community, the high-ranking ones that advise government leaders that are meeting with light. And then they go and relay this, and they're intelligent. They have wonderful information. I have nothing but good things to say about them, except I do believe they're meeting with angels of light, and they're being deceived by them. And that is the narrative that they want to bring about. And they will begin to say, and this is part of the reason they disclose this to us, is that Christians or believers in Jesus will be the ones that are standing in the way with their narrow thinking, only calling these things demons. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, this is demons. And when we look at this stuff, we got to recognize we're going to be told that we are narrow-minded and we are standing in the way of enlightenment from these light beings that want to come through. And they're going to use the charade and smokescreen of whether it's lizard people or things coming down from the heavens or mass events taking place in the sky through Project Bluebeam. These are the things that we were really disclosed to and talked through. And there are many podcasters and leaders claiming to be Christians, and really they have a mixed agenda to get this esoteric ideology out to the masses.
Fascinating stuff. Joseph, thank you so much for being here. And please come back and talk to us again on this, because I'm sure there's going to be more disclosures very soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Now, it leads me to a couple things. One, if this is real, if this is, and I don't have any reason to believe that what Ben has on his show, who is very credible and all that, is like, what about these scientists that are missing? Could it be that they're missing because remember the one girl that was hiking in the woods on a hiking trail, and she was 20 feet away from her husband, and she just vanished. 20 feet's not very far. just vanished. So is it possible, if this is real, if this is not just smoke and mirrors, because it's very possible it can be, they could be filling this pasture full of smoke. I mean, we don't know. It could be all, mirrors. Ah. Whatever it is, we're going to keep an eye on it. And but could it possibly be that the scientists that are missing, because we have a bunch of them, their phone, their keys, their car, their animals left behind, and they're just gone. They're just vanished, and they were just there, and now they're gone. And I talked to my husband an hour ago. He didn't say nothing about going anywhere, and he's just gone. And all these different things. So maybe they have too much information. Obviously, they have too much information if they're missing, right? So we'll keep going. Oh, shit, got me. Okay. So let's see, where else? What else do we have around this? Oh yeah, I want to play the no. Okay, so we'll stay on this, and we'll keep giving you all the information that we get. Let's take a little break and have a little comedy in our lives from after that heavy stuff. Okay, stand by.
Imagine your child leering math right here, or perhaps leering science over here, or leering the future language of Minnesota. Well, imagine no more. Welcome to the Quality Leering Center. At the Quality Leering Center, we strive for greatness, not only for your child, but more importantly, for our luxurious lifestyles, our terrorist friends overseas, and Democrat politicians right here in the U.S. To achieve that greatness, we follow the 5 fundamental tenets to success: fabricate everything, receive government funds, act the victim, undermine the opposition, and deny, distract, demonize. All of our dedicated teachers are former Somalian pirates, so you can be sure your child is in good hands with someone whose IQ is equivalent to a school zone speed limit. Speaking of pirates, Democrats, members of Congress, and even Governor Walz fully support our business operations. Rest assured, absolutely no one will be held accountable. They don't just turn a blind eye for the sake of money. They crank their head 180 degrees and jam it up their own butt. At the Quality Leering Center, we recognize there have been an abundance of fraud scandals, coincidentally, right here in Minnesota, also involving billions in government funding and also run by Somalians. Therefore, to solidify your trust, we promise to lear from their mistakes and ensure your tax dollars reach the right hands in Somalia. Your toothpaste may not make it through TSA, but $700 million in cash, we can make that happen. Now, you might be wondering, I thought this was a daycare. What about the kids? That's all just politics. Now you're getting it. We know that you have plenty of options here in Minneapolis, but while other daycares receiving government funding are only open for 15 minutes a day, we're open for over 45 minutes Tuesday through Wednesday. And if that's not enough, here's some 5-star reviews from happy customers. Thanks, John Smith. Hey, if you're in the neighborhood, don't bother stopping by. And if you have any questions, please ask yourself this first. What happened to those who questioned Tim Walz's agenda in the past? For more information, please visit yourqualitylearingcenter.com. The Quality Learing Center. Learing made fun.
That's perfect. That is perfect. So all right, that's on X at I am Nick Peterson. If you want to check out his stuff, he does a ton of stuff on. He's been on a jag right now with doing stuff around Christianity, and he's great. He's a comedian online, so you got to check him out. Definitely want to give him the credit for that, because it's just great comedy. Comedy is the only thing that keeps my head on straight most of the time. because there's so much garbage going on all the time, and it's just lies and trickery and corruption and all this stuff just nonstop. So anytime I can plug into some comedy, sometimes I'll just get stuck on a comedy channel for and then I'll look up and I'm like, damn, I'm watching joke after joke for an hour and a half. I better get back to it. You know what I mean? But got to have fun, because this stuff it'll tear you down. It really will. It will really tear you down if you let it. So I do my best to pray, keep prayed up, and have some comedy in my life, and I love all my kids and my wife, and do all that stuff every bit that I can, because this stuff will drain you. It will. It really will. This stuff will absolutely drain you. So that's my public service announcement. Oh, wait. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? You should right now. It's free. Subscribe to the channel. You'll help me a lot by doing that. Appreciate it. My homegirl here. I took a little nap a little while ago. I was just sitting in the chair. We had gotten back from a birthday party, my wife and my 7-year-old. And I was just sitting in my chair, and I was kind of leaned back, and I kind of dozed off. And my dog, she's not a little dog, big. She's a lab, pretty good sized lab, and she jumped in my lap. And I was like, all right, I guess you missed me. Okay, got it. That's very unusual for her, but she wanted to sit in my lap. So that was pretty good. Anyway, let's get to this, man. What are we going to do here? All right, one more, and then we'll get to it. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. Before we do, let's do another joke.
It was a cover up, and it continues to be a cover up run by the very same DOJ and the very FBI and the very same White House that are behind the Charlie Kirk cover up, which has now directly touched me personally as Turning Point USA security director and Charlie Kirk assassination suspect, Brian Harpole, and his attorneys from Harmeet Dillon's law firm have served me with a certified letter relating to their lawsuit against Candace Owens and Mitch Snow. And in this letter, Harpole's lawyers, who again are directly tied to the Trump administration, they actually tried to issue a list of demands telling me not to delete any of my communications, not to delete any of my files, or even any diary entries that they might want to take a look at. And even things that they probably don't want to take a look at, just in case. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not the subject of this lawsuit. You're not going to demand that a free American citizen doesn't delete his own shit. I will delete whatever I want to. And Turning Point USA and their army of lawyers with their $1 billion, their army of lawyers employed by an Indian invader who makes a living protecting pedophiles and prosecuting white people at the DOJ, they're not going to do a damn thing about it. These people are delusional. They're high on their own delusions and grandeur, and they think that they're actually in charge. And the reason that they think that is because the American people have allowed them to. We're not going to do that anymore. Whether it's Brian Harpole and Turning Point USA or Harmeet Dillon or Todd Blanche and the pedophile-loving Department of Justice, these people are illegitimate. They have no legitimate jurisdiction over American citizens.
Yep, there you go. He goes on to say "fuck you" too, but I think he just did that in his post. That's funny. So I guess now, if you have a podcast or a show or whatever you call it, and you say the wrong thing, they'll just send you, some kind of, shut the fuck up threats, right? That's what they do. Well, pretty sad. That's pretty sad where we've gotten to. And when you put it together the way he just did, which verified, all that stuff's verified. Harmeet Dillon is she is the whatever her actual job is in DOJ. I'm not sure. But when you think about it, very sad that they're running around like gangsters. Horrible, actually. But anyway, one more, and then we'll get to the Charlie Kirk stuff. I'm not trying to make this go longer than it needs to, but you got to get where we're at. Standby.
I sent them to all these people. I got no response from Susie Wiles. None. And she's a mother and a grandmother and a woman. I got no response from James Blair because he only cares about making money on campaigns. I did hear from Kash Patel. He said on it, but I haven't heard from him since. I don't know what he's on. JD Vance was very nice to me, compassionate and kind, and reassured me that he would do everything we could to find out what's going on. And then I heard back from Donald Trump. And I've saved these text messages. I'd probably get put in jail if I released them publicly, but I saved them. Where Donald Trump proceeded to tell me that it was my fault and that I deserve it. If my son gets killed, I deserve it because I was a traitor to him. That is our president of the United States. That's the man that says MAGA is whatever he wants it to be.
Yeah, so just a little recap. If you don't know what happened, MTG was going to run for senator, and Trump wouldn't endorse her. And then they got into it about the Epstein files. He wouldn't endorse her for that post, or for Senate. And then they got in this feud about the Epstein files because she's like, I'm staying with these women that have been, raped and all this stuff, groomed and all the stuff that's happened to these, all these women. I stand with them, release the files, and he went after her. And what happened was the death threats got worse and worse, allegedly. They got worse and worse and worse. And she was like, you know what? I've been Trump's biggest supporter, probably. I mean, she was at every rally, all that stuff. She was running around with Trump for, however long he was on the campaign stop, 2 years. And she was always around Trump doing that. And he turned on her like a bad habit. And she stepped down from Congress because the death threats got too bad, and she probably could have won anyway, but he literally said that he was going to go after her, and she's already spent millions of dollars fighting off the Democrats, so she resigned, and now he's telling her that if her son gets killed, it's her fault. If he must have got deployed to Iran, or to the Middle East, or something like that, because I think her kid's in the military. That it's her fault because she was a traitor to him, and and I know that Trump operates off of loyalty. I mean, period. And it's a big quinkadink because anybody that is America first, that believes in the United States of America, is going to say, release the Epstein files, period. We don't give a shit who's in there, what's in there, how. All that matters is that there's justice for the pedophiles, against the pedophiles, period. That's it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in there. And what he had told her along the way was that he didn't want to release the files because it would hurt his friends. Not that it would hurt all the victims, but that it would hurt his friends. And we know who his friends are: Letnick and that other dude. What the hell is his name? The one that had his baby mama deported. Remember that? All that stuff. All those people are in the files deep. And so, Letnick especially lived next door to, which I always thought was weird that, recapping, give me a second, let my brain catch up. Jeffrey Epstein lived in apartment 9, and Letnick lived in apartment 11. And Letnick was, the CEO, owned a big building during 9/11, and stayed home that one day. Never took a day off before that. And took a day off to go take his kid to school or something like that on September 11th when the terrorist attack happened, or whatever that was that happened. When you we don't want to get started in the 9/11. We do not want to get into that's another and that's another time for another movie, okay? But because that was just like all this other stuff that we've seen going on day after day after month after month after year of lies and misjustice and fraud and fake and and gay, and it's just horrible, the stuff that's going on with all these major things that have happened in the United States. When you back up away from it, and it's not a conspiracy, it's really not. Building 7 was demolition. It was demolition. I mean, it dropped in its own footprint. There's no way. Anyway, we're not doing that tonight. So anyway, let's remember that. And I said this. Let me slow down for a minute, because I'll miss this, and I don't want to miss this. My belief, and this is hard, but my belief is Trump is worse than compromised. That's what I think. I think that what's happened to Trump is he's under mind control. And I know that's a conspiracy theory that, some people say it's not proven. It's very proven. And I believe that souls sign contracts with demons. Okay? I believe that. I believe that there is a entity, whether you want to call them lizard people, whatever you want to call it. I think that they make deals with the devil. And I truly believe that Trump is under mind control at this point, because the 180 that he's done is not like he's ever been, or else he's a great actor. Because for 10 years, he's been on the side of peace and, peace through strength and the American people, and fighting against the deep state. And now he's embedded in the deep state. I think he's under mind control. Either they shot him with a dart, put something in his food, or he made a deal with the devil. That's just my belief. I mean, that's what I wholeheartedly believe that. And when we go back and think about some of the predictions that have happened, like Brandon, what's his name? What is his name? I can't remember his name. The prophet, Biggs, Brandon Biggs. He did a show, a couple different shows, but he does a show pretty much every night. He's like a prophet, pastor. He has visions and all that stuff. And he said that this was going to happen, that that our stock market was going to crash, and Trump was going to be freaking out about it, and all the stuff that's happened. He predicted. He even predicted that Trump was going to get shot in the ear. So anyway, another time, another movie, different time. This is bad. So where we're gonna go? What are we gonna do? We're gonna play a couple of these clips back to back. All right, stand by. We'll play a couple of these together. Stand by.
Together from the emails and other intelligence sources. Charlie Kirk was never shot with a bullet. He was accidentally decapitated by a piece of shrapnel from a miniature explosive planted inside his micro. The device was supposed to blow out his chest cavity, but the explosive malfunctioned. Instead of detonating downward, it ripped upward and took his neck. That is why security immediately ripped every device off the stage. That is why the security camera behind Charlie was yanked from the wall on live feed. That is why they literally stole his body from the scene before the coroner could arrive. That is why Netanyahu went on television within minutes to say it wasn't Israel before anyone had even asked. That is why the FBI took forever to find the killer. They had to rush manufacture evidence to match the lie.
The plane that Pete Hegseth almost exclusively uses, its tail number is 99-0404. On September 8th, the day that Mitch Snow says that he saw Erica Kirk and Cabot Phillips on Fort Huachuca, that plane goes from Joint Base Andrews out west and then ends up at Fort Huachuca. And it flew there under a call sign SAM 702. What SAM means is Special Air Mission. The only people who can approve or authorize or order a Special Air Mission flight are the president and the vice president. Wow. 30 days after Charlie Kirk is murdered, there is a munitions production facility called AES, which is called Accurate Energetic Systems. It's in Eastern Tennessee. There's like virtually nothing else out there. And what they do is they build explosives and they deliver to, like excavators, and they also do contracts for the government. The Department of Defense had placed a $440,000 order just ahead of Charlie Kirk's death for a micro explosive from AES. Well, 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk is murdered, tons of people saw this where I'm like, oh, that was a weaponized lavalier microphone that blew up, and that's what killed Charlie Kirk. The thing went massively viral. 2 weeks after that, AES, this production facility that delivered the micro explosives to the DOD, satisfied the order. It explodes October 30th, which is 2 weeks after I released this video about an explosive killing Charlie Kirk. The day that this thing blows up, tail number 99-0404, the plane almost exclusively used by the Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth, that morning, that plane left Joint Base Andrews and went to Fort Huachuca. At the time that this thing was smoldering after it had just blown up, the plane that Pete Hegseth almost exclusively uses detours on its way to Joint Base Andrews to fly directly over the AES manufacturing facility that satisfied a $440,000 micro explosive order just ahead of Charlie Kirk's death, which blew up 2 weeks after I said, hey, explosives killed Charlie Kirk. And it flew over this part of Eastern Tennessee where there's nothing else but this thing. When that thing exploded, every employee on the inside died. 23,000 pounds of explosives blew up, killing everybody inside. Everybody in that facility died.
So the lavalier microphone thing is, I'm going to say that I don't know, and this is why. I don't know that that is how he died. All that other stuff makes sense. Now, there may be a very high probability that the lavalier mic, the palm gun, and the drone shooting, and all that together is very possible that it was multiple different operations going on at the same time while they had somebody on the roof as a distraction, right? Very possible. But watch this clip to the end, and you'll see that lavalier mic, the shape charge that they're calling it, is still on his shirt when he goes down.
here we go. You can just play this. And if you guys are just on audio, you'll obviously need to come cut this on video because I can't really describe, obviously, the question is being asked. This moment right here, we had assumed initially that was his recorder or something. I can confirm, you'll see later, that it's whipping fast and it looks white when it whips fast, but that is in fact his necklace. That is his necklace. And I find that for some reason to be very strange that the necklace goes up first. You can see this obviously. And by the way, there's no gore in this. So you don't really need viewer discretion because like I said, which kind of broke the internet, the bullet didn't go through, and not only did not go through, didn't even cause any sort of a mess. His perfectly white t-shirt was white until the moment that he hit the ground. Skylar, we can get to that portion, I guess, where they can more clearly see the, well, first we can show them the magnet that's still on him. I guess we'll get to that. Yeah, there you go. We can pause there. So they can see that that is his necklace. And it's, I don't know how to describe that. I don't know if you would say it's still on him. There was a lot of story. Everybody had a personal story about Charlie's necklace, which struck me as very odd. Okay. It struck me as odd because, you know, Erica, Frank tells the story about how he came out to get his backpack from the car as the feds were searching it at the hospital. And he saw Charlie's necklace on his backpack, which was in the car. And the feds said, "We were looking for that necklace." Really? Why were the feds looking for the necklace? How did they know he had a necklace? That's very strange. Erica, of course, has told several stories about the necklace and how precious the necklace was to him and how grateful she was that she got the necklace back. I think maybe even Brian Harpole had a story about that. I got to go back and look through it. But everyone's got a story about the necklace. It seems like a strange focus of this day. And so I want to just point that out, that it is the necklace that is hanging. You can see that. And maybe you can see it clearer when it's on my phone. So like I said, I'm happy to send it around, but you can at some points even see and observe the chain. Again, this is after Charlie is hit. So you are seeing zero blood heading backward. That feels wrong to me. That instantly felt wrong to me for what they are telling us took place here, which is a 30-06. It's not even enough to pretend that this was like an event where it already is, I would say, insane to try to say this was some miracle event and, you know, Charlie's neck stopped this. The magnet clasp right there. Some people were wondering, some people thought that the magnet clasp, I know there was a lot of stuff about the magnet clasp. That's it. It's still on him. I know those things are very powerful. And I think John Bray explained to me that the magnet clasp would have stayed on, but what was behind it would have fallen off because he has a theory. And I think I would say it's a well-adopted theory that, the Rode microphone is what was shattered in the backseat of the car. And so I wanted to show that as well so you guys could see that. We can keep scrubbing through here.
Yeah, so the microphone's still on him now. And I don't know my understanding, I don't know how those mics attach. I believe that it's a magnet on the front and a magnet on the back, and they attach like that. I don't think it's clipped on. I can't confirm that. I'd have to do some research to see about that. I'm still holding the theory that he was shot behind the ear from above down, and this is an exit wound. And until I'm proven otherwise, that's what I think. I also think that he was shot in the chest by the palm gun in front of him, and I'll show you that right now in just a second. I believe that that's what happened. I've looked at it a lot, and that's the most sensible explanation that I could come up with. That he's hit from back here, and it goes down through here, and that's why his chest puffs out and comes down. And I think that when it came out, it got his. That's when his necklace went moving, or when he was shot in the chest. And you can see this sort of. You can't really see it that good in this picture, but again, you could go back to 239. Show 239. I covered it in detail. I slowed it down, and I showed you exactly when the entry wound was and all that stuff, and where it came from and the whole thing. So you just have to go back to 239 and take a look at that if you're interested in that. It's on Rumble, Getter, YouTube, and all those places. Episode 239. Anyway, it may be 240, but I think it's 239. I'm doubting myself right now, but I'm pretty sure it was 239 because I started on Rumble. So anyway, check this out.
Take a look at this man right here, folks. This is Charlie Kirk, security guy. He appears to have a palm gun in his right hand, and he aims it at Charlie Kirk and squeezes the palm gun, firing off a round directly into Charlie Kirk's neck. I suspect he was aiming center mass, and the bullet may have ricocheted, maybe off the cross or something else that was hard, and ricocheted up into his neck area. As you can see, folks, in the right fist between the middle finger and the ring finger is the barrel of the palm pistol. You see him squeeze the palm pistol, firing off a round into Charlie Kirk, murdering Charlie Kirk. Now, if you pay attention to that right hand, it's going to go down into that left tricep area into a hidden pocket. You can see him stuffing that palm pistol in there. His right hand emerges from under his arm, empty-handed. He then puts his hand on the rail, leaps over the rail, and comes to Charlie Kirk's aid like the good assassin, security guard that he is. This video is from behind the assassin. And as you can see, he lifts his right fist up. That right fist contains the palm pistol with the barrel sticking out between the middle finger and the ring finger. He squeezes the palm pistol, firing off a round. You can even see the bullet and the bow shock swirl. There's the bullet and there's the bow shock swirl, both caught on video, folks. This angle is from behind the assassin. This angle caught the bullet and the bow shock swirl, folks, caught on video. Folks, this man is the assassin, or at the very least, should be the number one suspect. Look at that right fist containing the palm pistol with the barrel sticking out between the middle finger and the ring finger. There is the squeeze of the palm pistol firing the round. Now you see his right hand containing that palm pistol go underneath his left armpit, and he will stuff that palm pistol into that tricep area, as you can see he's doing right there. Then he pulls his right hand out from under his armpit, and there's no more palm pistol because it's hidden in his tricep. He then leaps over the rail and comes to Charlie Kirk's aid to, I don't know, what, save Charlie Kirk or make sure Charlie Kirk is dead. Folks, this video is angled from behind Charlie Kirk and off to the side. It was taken from a cell phone outside of the tent, but from behind Charlie Kirk. This is the only video on the internet with this angle. However, there was a 4K or 8K camera behind Charlie Kirk that was strapped to the back of the tent Charlie Kirk was sitting in. That 4K or 8K video camera was aiming directly from behind Charlie Kirk out towards the audience. That camera would have caught this same man that you see right here in 4K or 8K. That camera that Turning Point USA has the footage to would catch that same man murdering Charlie Kirk in cold blood. Turning Point USA, I am requesting that you release the video that was recorded from directly behind Charlie Kirk, and you show us who that man is. You give us his name, and you explain to us exactly what he was doing here. Raising his right fist up containing a palm pistol, squeezing the palm pistol, firing a round off. So inconspicuous. No one even knew it was him. They all heard the bang, but no one saw the gun. No one suspected it was that man. Turning Point USA, I am requesting, demanding, on behalf of all truth seekers in the world, for you to release that video that was taken from behind Charlie Kirk that would clearly see that man right there in the sunglasses. Turning Point USA, do the right thing. Release that video. That video caught that man doing exactly the same thing this video caught that man doing. Folks, if you like my work, check us out and support us.
Yep. All right. So, some of that makes sense, some of it doesn't. So I don't believe that he was shot in the neck by that palm pistol, and because that's an exit wound. Anybody that's seen a live ammo shot, that's exit. You know, blood don't come outward when you get shot; it goes inward. It follows the trajectory of the bullet. So it would go in, and then after it goes all the way in, and then the blood pumps, then it starts coming out. But it doesn't come out like that. That is an exit wound. I don't give a shit what you say. Go back and look at 239. That'll tell you everything you need to know. 239. And yeah, so that's all I got for tonight. I did it in a couple seconds over. That's fine. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment, share this information, cut this up into pieces and put it out on the internet. All I ask is that you tag me in it so people can find my channel. Thank you. Good night. Appreciate your support.